The Disrupt Education vlog can be found on YouTube. To hear it in podcast form, search Disrupt Education on any of the following podcast platforms: Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Castbox, Overcast, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Spotify, or Stitcher. Welcome to this episode of Disrupt Education. We have a wonderful guest, Matt Hudson of BookMatic. And Matt, can you tell us a little bit about where and what you are doing right now?
We're in Indonesia now. I've been here for the past 8 years, and I've been mainly teaching ESL and also first language English at a school. I've also just recently launched my own website about 1 year ago, which focuses on self-development and just trying to encourage people to start reading more books. That's the main focus of that, because I realize, we don't learn this stuff in school. We don't learn about finances, and I was never taught that. So I figured, hey, I might as well take up the reins and try to encourage people to start learning. I've been mainly focusing on around high school, university, and young adults.
You're in Indonesia now. You grew up in Portland. And then what was your educational path like, and still is, because we're all still lifelong learners? Can you tell us a little bit about that path?
Yeah, I went to, elementary school just like everyone in just a public school, and went through junior high school and high school. And during high school, I was actually really interested in music. So I was playing in a band, jazz band, and that was actually my main focus. Although, yeah, I still passed my other classes, but I didn't really care that much about the other classes. It just seemed like, okay, I've got to drift through school and focus on my music. And I wanted to go into university to be a music education major. So yeah, I went into university, studied music education for 3 years, and then figured, it's not really for me. I didn't really see a future doing that. And actually it took me, I think, 8 years to get a bachelor degree. I kept on switching my major just because I was trying to find myself, and I was, to be honest, partying a lot with friends. But I was also, involved in a lot of international cultural groups, and that's what got me interested in moving over to Asia. Is being in part of a Japanese student society, and it's just awesome. My university, Portland State University, had so many international students, so I really got a chance to interact with people and discover that, hey, I want to travel abroad. So I finally ended up getting my bachelor degree in liberal studies, Bachelor of Science, liberal studies, and then got a TESOL certificate and moved all the way over here to come teach English.
In that path, and now you're immersed in a culture. Can you tell us a little bit about how schooling is there and how there's a difference than the United States, as well as maybe some things that you see are areas that you could improve or see change happening there as well?
Right now I'm teaching at an international school, so there are some foreign students there. And it's a private school, so it costs quite a bit to get in. There's several private schools or international schools spread throughout Indonesia, and I would say the wealthy families get to go to these schools, whereas the people that are not so wealthy, they just go to the government schools. And yeah, it's kind of like in the US, they've got a standardized curriculum, standardized test. Uh, they have a national examination that you must pass in order to even move on to junior high school. So elementary school to junior high school to high school, there's always a national examination. If you do not pass that, then you cannot move on. Also, for high school into university. So if you do not have that national examination, I guess you can't go to university. So it's pretty strict with that. With the privileged schools or the wealthy schools, I would say the education is focused mainly on getting high scores, getting A's. The parents, that's pretty much all they're concerned about. And the principal at my school, that's pretty much all they are concerned about. I don't really see them really wondering about the actual benefit to the students and how getting these good grades is going to help them in the future. Yeah, I see that as a major issue here.
What happens then with students that are struggling? Do you see students struggling in that system, and maybe creatives and who are just not, in that traditional path? What does that look like there in Indonesia?
I do have some students that cannot really focus, and I don't think they're dumb at all. Dumb is not a word that we should ever use, right? Every student has their own special ability. And so actually, me knowing that personally, I actually talk with these students sometimes and try to figure out what are their actual interests, because they have no motivation to study science and math or even English, the subject that I teach them. And I try to make it as fun as possible for them, and try to make it as real as possible, although I have to stick to the curriculum.
Right.
But at least I can try to motivate them in different ways and try to use supplemental material to get them interested. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, these students that are not really motivated, even if, now this is the major thing that does bother me kind of a little bit, even if they do not pass their exams, they still get to move on. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative, but it's like the students know that they are able to not pass these exams, and it doesn't really matter. So what does that teach them? I don't know.
When people figure out the shortcuts and then don't really realize the power that they have, or the knowledge that they have, or the skill sets that they have, I think that occurs. Which is a great point. I think that's actually a worldwide phenomenon, especially at that neurological age, if you will. So let's talk a little bit about BookMatic, because you have a pretty, a really cool kind of put together. For me, and we've had this conversation, reading was not a thing for me in school. However, I feel like if I had a person like you, understanding, okay, this is a different book that'll kind of match your interests and things like that, and then how reading can really open up things to you. Tell us a little bit about that journey and what you hope to accomplish with BookMatic.
I started this journey back in 2015. Started reading avidly self-development books, nonfiction books, and business books, because I was interested in starting my own business, but I had no idea where to start. So I went to the bookstore, luckily we have English bookstores here, which is nice. But yeah, I went to the bookstore, got A Second Chance by Robert Kiyosaki, which is well known for Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Mm-hmm. And I started a free blog, originally on blogspot.com, and I just started writing reviews for the books, each book that I read. And back at that time, my reading speed was very slow. So I would finish one book after like 3 months. I discovered the more I read, the faster I became. So like right now, I read about 3 books per month or so. So it's definitely increased in speed. But the most important thing is the quality of the book. I've discovered after reading, a while back, I was reading about investing, stock investing, but not really interested in that, So it's been kind of an experimental thing for me. And I created this free blog because for selfish reasons, like, of course, I wanted to share with other people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's a good way for me to remember what's in the book by reviewing the book. I can always go back to my notes, go back to the reviews to refresh my memory.
Yeah.
So as it progressed, as time went along, I discovered, hey, this is a great, I think this would be a great thing to start speaking about at schools here in Indonesia, at universities, at businesses. So I created the website that I mentioned earlier, BookMatic.com, in January 2018. But I started doing some public speaking events before that time. And yeah, so I see this as an opportunity to try and start reaching out to people, start speaking at events, so that I can get more people interested in reading. And the reading culture here is not that big. Starting to grow. I've noticed it's not huge.
One of your recent posts, you mentioned something really cool, like success and being rich, which was a great post, and then you kind of veered off into, okay, it's not really about that, which I totally agree. It's about how many people you can help and those types of things. So with that being said, people can follow you at BookMatic. Is that in Instagram as well?
It's all BookMatic. It's BookMatic, 2 T's. Yeah. It's on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
So with all that and how you are helping others, let me ask you the big question on Disrupt Education. And that is, what would be 1 or 2 things that you personally would change in education if you had the chance to? Or you do have the chance to, so what are some of your visions in changing education?
I'm definitely going to continue working on what I am working on. And, maybe, I don't know, I've been thinking more about starting to transition over to trying to change the education system a bit with this self-development books and reading. And, what I would really like to change is the less focus on grades, more focus on growth mindset, and failure is okay.
Yeah.
Because we definitely learn from the mistakes that we make, and the school system really does not help you to build up your confidence. And I'm speaking generally here.
Right.
Yeah, because I remember when I was back in elementary school, I got put into the I forget what the name of it is, but it's below the average classes. I got put into those classes because I was diagnosed with ADHD, and they put me on like Ritalin and stuff like that, and they made me feel like I was slow, which in reality, no. So I would like to also change that, because ADHD is not necessarily a bad thing. It's
right.
ADHD is just, these kids have so much energy, they have no idea where to put it, and so they're normal kids, right?
Right.
What is the word normal, right? There's no such thing as normal, but what I mean is, we have to try and figure out where to put that energy, because each kid has their own interests. So for me, I think it was band and music. So I put all my energy into that and got really good and progressed pretty well. So yeah, I mean, the whole system just needs to change. And for me, I'm going to continue trying to encourage people to read, and hopefully that will also seep into the school system as well.
Thank you so much, Matt, for joining us today on Disrupt Education. One last question. What is next for you in BookMatic?
I would like to develop a online course. That is one thing that I'm working on gradually. My schedule is quite busy with family and teaching, so this is something that I have to only work on, that I only get a chance to work on like about an hour or 2 hours a day. I'm also writing a book as well that I want to release probably at the end of next year. It'll take me a little while to write, but basically that book is going to be about encouraging you to read, and what is the importance of reading and how it can change the world.
Much appreciation. We will put up all your information down below on the YouTube channel. You've heard it on the podcast. Matt, thank you so much for doing what you do, and you are a true disruptor. For the rest of us, we will see you all next time on Disrupt Education.